Welcome to the Bearded Bro Show podcast. Today we have no Dustin, but we have Ryan once again.
Yo.
And, as always, guys, you can let us know what you think about the podcast. Tweet at us. We got all that in the description below. We got Twitter. We got an email. Talk to us. Sometimes I actually kind of forget to, even say that in any of these podcasts. And I think next time that Dustin is on, though, he definitely has some news and some updates on his health and stuff. But I'll just save that completely for when he's back because I don't want to step over the line by just saying I want him to be able to say it himself, so we'll just save that for next week or whatever. Yeah. So how's it going, Ryan?
It's going good so far.
I wanted to, and I told Ryan I'm gonna hit him with a subject that's just something. It's it's something that's always interests me and Ryan to talk about, which is films, and it's, last time we were on here, we talked about video games and stuff like that, and it just kind of it was literally supposed to be about something else, and then it just kind of took off. So I was kind of I told him, I don't really have much of a subject, but I'll hit you with something to just see kind of where it goes, because, me and him were able to make conversation about games. So, I don't know, and I have no idea if you have ever seen Seven Samurai. I don't know if you ever told me. I think...
Okay.
I do believe that you... I don't know if... We may have talked about it in passing as, a movie that you knew existed, but I don't know if you've ever actually seen it.
Here's the things. My history with Seven Samurai just totally... This is not planned at all. It was on my radar for an extremely long time. Because I had known about the director, Akira Kurosawa, for a very long time. But I never quite knew, his movies. I really want to watch Yojimbo. That's a main one I want to watch. And that's Fistful of Dollars is a remake of Yojimbo.
Yeah,
so
that's Samurai has supposedly been redone a couple times.
It's Magnificent Seven.
Magnificent Seven.
Remake.
And there's this other one literally called Samurai 7, and the 7 is the number 7, because the actual original movie is just 7 samurai,
it's a very
worded out without a number.
Very super basic story. It's just your heroes. It's Bug's Life is actually another movie.
That's what I saw somebody's video thumbnail that was this movie is a Bug's Life.
Based on that.
It kind of is, yeah, and yeah.
I started it, and then it's not like I couldn't finish
it's long.
Or anything.
It's 3 hours long.
I don't want to, because I love long movies, and I love foreign film a lot. I love those things, but it's just a huge task to just kind of sit and focus on it.
Focusing
it's
also because
subtitles as well.
Yeah, just to let you guys know, this is a Japanese film with subtitles. I rented it on YouTube because you know how YouTube just has that preview only thing, and you kind of think to yourself okay, that means it's not here, and then when you actually go to it, it's oh, by the way, you can rent it. I was very thankful for that because I was okay, I don't really. I would be fine with buying it, but buying movies when you haven't seen it yet is just kind of that's where I draw the line. It has to absolutely be the very last resort thing. The only thing that I can do left is to buy a movie. That's the only time that would be something like that. But Ghost of Tsushima's coming out, and I've just been in this very, and me and Tyler watching Naruto and stuff, just back into this kind of Japanese, and it's weird because Godzilla has not been, involved in any of this, lately stuff, where, I usually kind of throw him in there into, a kind of a stretch where, sometimes I just watch Japanese films, and it has been Godzilla-less, honestly, and I've just been kind of, really enjoying just, I'm barely scratching the surface, honestly. I haven't made it very far, but really just enjoying, kind of exploring, me and Ryan, I feel it maybe, I'm probably more so, but we generally have a respect for anime, and, I definitely...
Yeah, Trav is miles ahead of that.
And Naruto, just number one, absolutely, One Punch Man, literally, after one season, that comes in second for me, and that might tell you guys a lot of stuff. You probably, well, then you're not much of an anime fan if you're gonna say, like, I don't know, like, there's a lot out there I have not discovered. But hey, if you like anime, drop your suggestions. I will be glad to. And if it's just a streamable thing, Netflix, Hulu, or something, I'm not gonna go out of my way too much to like watch it on a site or whatever. Just give me the animes that are easy to find. But I love anime, and I feel like anime gets a bad. It gets a very bad, like, people that people that don't understand the idea of animation being like real, like Naruto. You know, it may be like this like kind of supernatural stuff in it and all this stuff, but it's very like extremely real moments. One of the, Naruto himself pulls at my heartstrings all the time, just watching and how inspirational he is. Yeah, he's a stupid knucklehead or whatever at first when you first are introduced to him, but it's his will and his drive to keep going is like the whole. And there's so much to Naruto, the show itself, that is more than just him as a character. It's everything else. But Seven Samurai, going back to that, I just have been kind of in this like, what are some really great samurai movies out there that I am not seeing? And Seven Samurai has always been this like you said, on my radar as well. I have barely heard of it, but it's so freaking interesting because here's a few reasons why. The 3-hour thing is crazy because a movie back then too, 3 hours
I know,
in
right?
1954 is absolutely bizarre. You have freaking, dang it, I'm gonna go blank on so many names because Japanese names are the hardest thing for me to memorize. But
so you're saying you went ahead and watched it?
I did. I have watched it, but I'm where you are with it, where I have not finished because it is 3 hours.
Yeah,
and
the only reason I didn't finish, it had nothing to do with the quality of the movie or what I was watching. It had nothing to do with that. I literally was like, I would love to finish this with Trav, so that's why I stopped. Like, that was, and I don't know if I ever actually told you that. I kept meaning to. And now is kind of the weird moment.
The reason that it was so, I mean, I'm sure we can find time to watch it, but the reason that I was so interested is because.
Same with Akira.
And I still never actually went on with that at all, so I'll have to watch that too. But, the only culture, like foreign, like the only culture that I've really ever been, like really, like obviously American stuff because I am an American and like, but Japan is like, just their product is just like, it's so, they just have this style. And like with Seven Samurai, it just is like, I'm just blown away while watching it with like, okay, this is a movie back then that is edited really well. Story is like, okay, all like by the time you get introduced, but by the way, and not really to spoil it for you guys, but literally shorter than the first hour, you're already introduced to the Seven Samurai themselves. I thought it was going to be a long build up for a 3-hour movie. And it's literally like, okay, about 45 minutes in, you already got the story moves at a pace where it's like, okay, it's going, but it's so weird that it's 3 hours, that it's actually like 3 hours and like 15, 20 minutes. So it's actually leading on like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, which is crazy. But the main character played in Godzilla 1954 that year. This is the main samurai guy. Same year. Which is just insane. Like, I'm sitting here watching it, and it's like, this is like in the same year as 54. It just like, it's such a different movie, and that's why I'm like taken by it. Where I actually would say like 54 is a great Godzilla movie. It is. Like, it's probably, it's still like, I always go back and forth on, like, which one's my favorite, and that one's still pretty much like, I'll just say the very original movie. But, like, this movie, as like, filmmaking and acting and everything, is, like, actually even better. It's a really weird thing to wrap my head around. And I have not made it to the end, so I don't know, like, it could end up being even better, or I'm just disappointed by the end with, like, I didn't really, but the only reason I got interested is because I had heard and I had researched, like, people were, like, saying, even people that really don't, I don't know, like, people really are putting this movie as, like, one of the top 5 Japanese, like, like, even out of, like, anything newer or anything, like, this is, like, one of the best movies and some people's favorite movie of all time. And I'm just like, and I'm trying to wrap my head around that. And obviously, I'm not saying it's going to become that. I'm not saying, because, like, favorite movies of all time can rely on nostalgia or something like that. Like, I've always said Star Wars is my favorite franchise of all time, just because it relies heavily on nostalgia. That music pulls at my heartstrings and just everything about it, Whereas if I was watching Star Wars now, I'd still nerd out because I know what kind of personality I am and I know that I would love it. I just know. But it wouldn't have, like, I wouldn't have that nostalgia pulling on it. So Seventh Samurai could easily be a lot of people's, like, okay, they were young when they saw it or something, or they watched it several times. Like, I don't know. I also watched, I was very curious on what Chris Stuckman had to say, and he has a review on it. And that's like a few-year-old review, so it was also cool to go back and see, like, what he thought. But I don't know. Not really any point to saying any of this. Just a general, like, like, foreign movies like this, and there's a lot of people that, or even Godzilla fans that I know that are like, I can't do subtitles. Like, and I get it. Like, and Ryan made a good point. You're having to stay really, really focused. That's why I do anime in English dub. I told Tyler, like, I'm going to prefer Naruto just in English because that's the voices I got attached to. They're amazing. I've tried Japanese Naruto, and no offense to the cast that were Japanese in Naruto, but I can't grasp it as much as I can just English. All the voices for Naruto in English are just so good. Like, just like comparing, like, Kakashi's cool voice he has with, like, a Japan, like, it's just, and it sounds so freaking racist. Like, I'm not trying to go down that path, but it is not the case at all. It's just a preference thing where I told Tyler the choice is there with English dub. The choice to look away and still understand what's going on. That's where I draw the line. Where it's like, subtitles means I'm having to pay really close attention, which is good, and that's how I approach films anyway. But I'm just saying, maybe you can't always, and if you have kids, or, like, Tyler, like, has kids, like, and he can't, like, look at every frame of and he's the type of person that would probably rewind it because he's obsessed with, like, okay, I'm gonna see every little grain of scene, you know what I mean? Like, and so yes, it is a little bit draining when you're like, okay, I gotta read this. But I also have had always this intense respect for the Japanese, like, the language. Like, I just really like how it sounds. And obviously, me and Ryan agree, like, written, Japanese written down is, like, the best looking, to me, at least, the best looking language there is. It just is so cool and so artsy. And there's nothing like just the way Japanese looks. And so Japanese credits, all that stuff, I'm just obsessed. Like, from the get-go, I'm just like, this is a long credits intro, but I'm loving it just because it's the old, like, black screen, and you just got Japanese, and then you have the subtitles telling you in English what these guys' names are. And, I'm bad with names, but yeah, it's just been extremely interesting. And, like, and I know, like, I'm just rambling about it, but, like, I would recommend that to anybody. Explore foreign films. If you're really a film fan and you really just enjoy, like, that kind of thing, like, it's a really interesting, like, just, I don't know. Like, how do these Japanese actors, like, it's just, I don't know. It goes back to that whole thing. It's like, we're all human, and we all just, like, and so, like, just seeing the emotion, because with Japanese actors, you're really getting, like, you're not hearing. If you only heard them, you wouldn't understand what they said. But it's like you're almost reading their face even more than you do with like English actors. It's really weird, like how like they're able to pull off just such like, I don't know, man. And Seven Samurai is funny as crap. Like that was something that Chris Stuckman said is like there's humor in here that's like wholesome out of like a really it's a dark story. Like just as a general premise, guys, like this village is running low on food and stuff like that just because like these bandits are just coming and raiding and like they're gonna come back. They're due to come back, and so one guy kind of steps in like we gotta hire people to protect us, and this one samurai just kind of has the wise idea like we need specifically 6 others other than me, counting me 7. So it's just like a really strange kind of like, I don't know where it's gonna go. I'm about halfway through. I don't know where it's gonna go, but I already really am enjoying it just because it's like, it's just got that quality. And it's just like, I don't know, like in black and white, I've always loved. Some people just hate that, but I always try to tell young people that have never seen a black and white movie, just try it. It's like, you're not distracted by any colors or anything like that. You're just fully in the story. And after a while, and after you get used to it, after the first 30 minutes of a black and white film, I'm just like, I forget. And then when I see color, I'm like, whoa, that's weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get used to just that grainy look. I don't know. Actually, I've always liked it. I've always liked that style. But
yeah, for me, I mean, I guess maybe in a weird, I don't know. I've never thought 1 second about having trouble watching black and white. Like
12 Angry Men, one of my favorite movies of all time, is fully in black and white. And I think it actually makes it better. Like, I don't know, like it just, something about it, the old school feel.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on the movie. I mean, like, I just love older movies better. Like,
yeah, I mean,
and that's definitely part of it. Like, I mean, my favorite movie, of course, is Mad Mad World. It's a Mad World, which is not black and white at all, but I don't know, some people could probably, I can see how some people are turned off by like black and white. I can see it, but it's really no problem. Now like black and white and then full subtitles, that's kind of going off in the deep end. Like if that's, I don't know, if that was like not somebody's thing, but Seven Samurai.
Yeah, so Takashi Shimura. Wait, let me see if I'm saying that right. He was the guy. Like, I instantly recognized him, seeing him in the movie. I was like, oh my god, he's in Godzilla 1954, like, in the same year. So that was bizarre to find out. And,
but a couple, not to take away from Seven Samurai, which of course, like I said, I haven't finished it either, so there's no way I could give a full review. And even if I felt equipped to do a full review, I just don't know if I'd be equipped because it's such a huge classic, such a huge monumental movie that really is like kind of like Citizen Kane. Like it's on that level where it is a gigantic movie that changed film history in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it now to make sure because I remember telling myself I wanted to mention this, but Haru Nakajima also so 2 people that are in the Godzilla franchise. Like he played in Godzilla. He was the actor for a lot of the 70s era Godzilla movies, like in the suit. He was in the Godzilla suit, and I'm just like, I don't even think I've gotten to the part where he's in there. I'm like, I don't even know, because like he's always in the suit in Godzilla. I don't know if I'll really even recognize him, but definitely the main samurai, I was like, yep, no, I know him immediately. But I knew his face, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta look him up, and then I found that out. So, cool, interesting stuff for sure.
But like I said earlier, like on my radar as well is really any of Akira Kurosawa's movies I'd be interested to watch. Obviously,
I'm curious
that's
about Ran because it's
okay.
also
Ran is a
it's
big one
also
on my list.
suggested, and it looks like it's in color. I don't know if it is for sure, but the poster is. It could just be a remastered poster, but like it looks.
It's in color because it's a little newer. Ran has been on my radar for a while. Throne of Blood is also a big one that's been on my radar as well.
Too, and then like, so now
and then
and
the
it
biggest
has me,
one.
It has me
Okay.
intrigued to the point where I'm like, okay, maybe I'll do a full on like dedicate time to watching every single movie he made. Like he's one of those directors where it's like, this guy's a really good director, and it's like it's a weird thing where Seven Samurai gives me those vibes of like this. I know that it has been made nowadays. Let me correct myself, but like it has been remade. They have made a couple. There's been a couple basic like remakes, but it just like it feels like a movie that is just like it belongs in today's time. I mean, I don't know. Like it has an old. There's a it's obviously from 50. It's a very obvious
Which
from
is
54 film.
I mean, that's why like it's very timeless. It has been retold many times throughout a lot of different movies. It's just one of those classic just stories that's just obvious, pretty much. It's just an obvious story that anybody could tell, and it's severely classic. But like I said earlier in the podcast, like Yojimbo is a huge one also on my list. It's been on my radar for a while. But the I keep saying the biggest one. The biggest one, arguably, besides Seven Samurai, is Hidden Fortress. That's the biggest, hugest one. And I actually watched that and sat and finished it. And supposedly George Lucas... that's like George Lucas's favorite movie, and he took a whole lot of elements from that movie and put them into Star Wars. And that was like a huge one that I was like, okay, I gotta watch this right now.
Yeah, Vader's helmet has always been like that is the back of a samurai helmet. So I know that he took that straight from Japanese culture itself. A lot of things about, I mean, honestly, if you think about Star Wars, like a guy that's a young kid that's gonna be trained to be a swordsman in a certain way, like there's a very samurai-esque story to Star Wars, like extremely. Except Star Wars has guns and lasers and everything, but I don't know, like if you take all that out, I mean, it's really like Jedi Knights really are like based off samurai straight up because samurai are very like. I don't know how to even, like, there's so many words that I could use, but, like, very just, they have their own way of things, and, like, that's how Jedi are, in Star Wars, where they're very, like, Jedi, will protect and kill you if they need to, but they're very peaceful people, and I guess that's the word, is, like, samurai are just kind of, like, and there's a part in the movie with Seven Samurai where I'm, like, thinking... this whole village has like so many samurai that they're trying to pick and choose like who they're gonna hire next as like the third or fourth one or something, and I'm just like, how many samurai are in this village? But then I just have to think about, okay, Japan, and it's a different time. It's just like, and the thing about the movie is like every character that they end up picking is likable. Like you're supposed to just not like that drunk sleazy one, that's all just kind of crazy, but then you end up liking him because he's needed in a group like that to be like, what are we doing, like he's so smart alecky about everything, and it's just like, and it fits. And so I'm looking at this movie like, this movie could be a gem. Like it is already a gem, but it's a movie that's like, if you had like actor, I don't know. I wouldn't want them to be like, okay, make an American version of this. Like, just do like, I don't know.
Which Japan, I guess Magnificent Seven. That's the.
If Japan
very
made literally like this movie again, not like in a different time, like it's still samurai based, then I'd be like, oh my god, like it would be an instant like go to the movies to see, because I'd be very curious on like I don't know, because, like, obviously there's stuff in it, like, that's doesn't hold up, like, the way a guy slices somebody, and it just kind of, like, I don't know, like, it doesn't look like how you could do it with, like, cool CGI and all that, and blood and all that, but, like, there's just this respect of, like, but they did everything they could to make everything as real as possible, and it's very believable. It just is. Like, and I don't know, like, and it's so little action throughout the movie too, so you're itching for just like, okay, when's there gonna be some samurai stuff? So you're just hooked on to like the like just the story, like it's one of those like character stories, and I don't know, I I would just hope that anybody would give a movie like that a chance. Like, it, you know, if you're not,
I mean,
some people just aren't open minded to
but
foreign films in general, but
my
they're still
argument,
films, you know, and
yeah,
still,
my argument is,
yeah,
it's always going to be film
blood,
history.
sweat, and tears were put into that movie. That's for sure.
Like,
you know,
the biggest thing is Akira Kurosawa. Like, if anything, I mean, Seven Samurai is just like his first main huge movie. That's just the big obvious one to see. But if anything, I mean, he's just a legendary director. I mean, if anybody is interested, if you're just not interested in film, then I can't convince you. Like, but it's like, I mean, if you're interested in film history, foreign film, or just, you know, that kind of legendary directing, I mean, yeah, it's an obvious watch, but it's just, I attempted to start it, and I was like, man, that would be so cool to finish this with Trav, or watch it with Trav. Like, that's the only reason why I didn't finish it. But yeah, Hidden Fortress, I guess that's technically the only movie of his that I've actually sat through and watched the whole way. And then I was planning on, I don't know, I mean, Ran would be cool, because that is like a newer one of his. And it's known for a very like iconic, gory scene.
yeah, that's kind of like, you know, that's kind of, I'm not saying that's like what I was looking for, but whenever I kind of went on this like little stretch of like, let me find some samurai movies I've never seen, just because, like, why not? Like, that, you know, that's the whole point of film anyway, is kind of like just that general like explore, and I just get into these moods where I explore a specific thing, and like that being just like, okay, Japanese samurai films, like, what are the great ones? And it's fun because it's exactly the type of stuff I like. So Ran is kind of like, I haven't seen it, but, you know, if it is kind of more on the level of like, not so much just like, okay, character development.
1985. So yeah,
I was about to say,
way newer. Like,
and Japan stuff in the 80s is like always usually pretty fantastic, because it's like 80s.
Oh my gosh, dude. Oh yeah, and I watched it. It's not 80s or Akira or anything, but like one movie I very recently watched was Spirited Away. I finally watched that.
Yeah, Spirited Away is pretty solid. Howl's Moving Castle is really, and all the, you know.
Yeah, I finally watched that too.
Studio Ghibli, like, yeah, they're fantastic for what they do. Like, for I'll just say, for what they do, they're good. Like, you have to be in that mindset. Like, I can't wait to watch a really weird movie, because I mean, it's just like, they're really weird, like very weird. But you know, it's just like that open-mindedness, and I don't know. There was a video that I think, yeah, I said to Ryan, I don't know, you probably didn't watch it, but that whole, and this is going back to the anime conversation, like, there's things I agree with him about and things I don't. This guy that did this video, I'll probably just go ahead and link it in the description. Anime is better than like real live action like movies or TV, and the reason he was saying all this stuff was because you can get more emotion. He was just saying like an anime kid screaming and crying about something that happened in his past or whatever, breaking down, just in live action. He was just like, if a live action actor just did all the movements and everything that anime kid did, it'd be awkward. Like, and it's like, I understand where he's coming from. There's things I disagree with it, where like it's almost like he's, I don't know, trying to say like real humans, like, I don't know, Joaquin Phoenix as Joker, I guess, for an example, like, wouldn't be able to portray emotion on the level that anime can. Now, he's basically also making a really good point about the people that are just shutting their mind off to the idea of even trying anime, like, it, and honestly, at the end of the day, he's kind of right on a lot of levels. A lot of anime is just like, you're gonna get more emotion than. But, like, the biggest point that he made that made me like, he's onto something here. The biggest, like, I 100% agree with that. Is, like, anime is not paid actors. Well, it is, because it's voice actors, but the character you see on screen is the character in the show. That is who they are as an individual. So you're not getting, like, Brad Pitt is Kakashi or something like that. Like, just, you know what I mean? Like, you're not getting, like, okay, the same face that you've seen in other movies over and over, and sometimes you get these actors that seem like they're playing the same character over and over. You like, anime is like, this is a brand new character. Now, they can remind you of other characters, like freaking that girl in Bleach. Really always, that orange-haired girl, I forgot her name, and Tyler probably like, huh, what? Oh, you don't know? But reminds me of Lucy from Fairy Tail, like, a lot. Like, she kind of already does. They're two totally different characters with two totally different personalities, but it's also just the way that they were drawn and they look is, like, just a kind of cliche hot anime girl. Like, that's kind of just like, that's just like the general whatever, but some of them look the same, some of them don't, but, like, but at the end of the day, what you're seeing on screen that's been drawn and animated, the animation itself is like that in this story. Like, that character is that character now. That voice actor can go and be another character in another thing, but you know what I mean? Like, you're not even really gonna notice. Like I saw some guys do a reaction to Naruto versus Haku, whenever Naruto first, like, his nine-tailed fox starts to, like, kind of come out. And, like, and he gets angry enough for it to happen, and Zabuza was speaking, and this guy in the reaction was literally like, that guy sounds so much like freaking Wolverine. And I'm just, like, thinking, I wanted to comment so bad, but I bet already so many people is like, because he is Wolverine in a lot of animated stuff. Like, animation and voice acting is almost like this whole other interesting level of discovery where, like, if you see someone on screen, you're like, I know him from somewhere, but no, saying that to about a voice actor is a whole different good feeling. It's like, I know that voice from somewhere, and then you, like, go find out, and then you might even rewatch that thing you saw them in. Like, animation can take you on this whole tunnel of just, like, amazing content, basically, that you maybe forgot about or you're just now discovering for the first time. And that's one thing I've always loved about anime is, like, it's all about the story. It's all about, you gotta grab me. It's all about, in anime, oh my god, when there's good action in anime, it's freaking good action. Like, One Punch Man is like one of the best looking animes of all time. Like, just for its action and its freaking gore is like, oh my god, like, you don't expect it to be that way. And then when he's, like, the first time you see, like, a dude explode in the show, you're like, okay, so this is where what the show is, But I don't know, that video that he made, I'll link it in the description. It's also a way to, like, if any of you have never actually seen one anime, like, go watch his video, because he basically tries to convince you guys, like, try Death Note just for the first time. Like, he said, he's like, watch the first episode of Death Note and come back and, like, tell me that you're not into it. Like, basically, like, he's not saying...
that's one of the few animes I've finished is Death Note. Like,
it's not
I need to make
everybody.
a list. I need to make a list of all the animes I've ever finished, because it's not very many, but it's
Death Note
still
is
quite
short
a
and
few.
sweet. Death Note is like, okay, it didn't last too long. It's nice and short, but it made it... Nice and short with movies or shows can mean, like, the best stuff you're getting. And Naruto, I think that belongs as it belongs more as a long drawn out building up to stuff type thing. I'm glad that Naruto is the size that it is. Bleach is on this whole other level of like that. It's never ended. It just, I don't know. So I'm not like
with
as
Bleach,
into,
I'm not ever watched.
as into the
I'm
idea
not ever
of like,
watched.
okay, only watch it because I get tired of shows so fast. Like you have to hook me, and you just have to like keep it interesting and make me want to finish, even if it takes months and months to finish. But Bleach was always this like, it's taking way too long. I've probably watched. I think it was season 1 through 5. It was like a long time ago. 1 through 4, 1 through 5, like around that. I saw, and I'm satisfied. I'm just like I didn't see the end of the story whatsoever, but I don't care. So if I kind of just have that like I don't care, but Naruto was like, no, I care about seeing this main story. Like Naruto goes from like season 1 through like 10 or 11, 12 or something for the original series, but my main story ends at like season 5, like at the end of it. So it's like, okay, so you with anime you could pick and choose. Like if you only want to watch the main story with no filler, you can do that, and sometimes that's the best way to watch an anime. And I know there's a lot, and I'm not crapping on filler. Like there's a lot of amazing filler episodes of shows, like one being Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura all trying to get Kakashi's mask off was the best filler episode of an anime I've ever seen. So, I mean, like, just that idea of, like, okay, no one ever sees his face, no one knows what his mouth and nose look like, so it's like, it was a completely comedic Naruto episode, and it was nice, because it was all three of those main characters together without having any rivalry, anything, working together for a really funny cause. So, stuff like that, anime is how it is. Like, it rather hits those funny marks, and One Punch Man hits that a perfect balance of that show is so funny while being so awesome at the same time. Like, Saitama is, like, the funniest anime character, like, just how chill he is about everything. But yeah, I mean, like, it just depends on what you like and everything, and, but I definitely recommend to anyone at any time, if you're just one of those people that's just closed-minded to animation, like, at all, like, I'm sorry, man, but you're missing out on so much. Like, there's so much good story out there that's just, like, waiting to be watched, I guess.
But...
And a lot of people have this opinion of, like, but it's not real. Like, when it's animation, it just doesn't... I can't do it because it's not real. Well, let me remind you real quick. Live action is not real either. Let me just tell you that. That is a set with people acting as a totally different person. I'm not saying it might as well be animated. I'm not saying that. Like, the Marvel movies, MCU, like... Well, you have animation for that, too, for the other stuff. But, like... They belong as a big live action franchise. They just belong that way. From comic books. Comic books to me is technically animation. People can argue the technicalities of that, but like comic book is like, you know what I mean? It's basically animation on a page. I mean, it just is. It is what it is.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's art, I guess.
Yeah, art. I mean, yeah, but it just. Like, and that is what anime or even foreign live-action films like Seven Samurai is to me. It's like, this is art. And this is art in a time where I didn't exist for a long time, and it's just, okay, they made a good movie back then with, like, film, like, a guy got behind a camera and directed these guys to, like, do all these things, and just, like, and it's so bizarre whenever you think about...
man, it's
54,
crazy.
Like... 54 with what they were able to do with that is insane.
Same with Godzilla, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and Godzilla 1954 belongs as a black and white movie. It just does, because like if you had too much color and all that on Godzilla himself, like he looks better as just
now,
like,
I would be interested
to
see like a color version. I'm not gonna. I'd be very interested.
For sure.
But yeah,
and that would be like, and I would love to see them go in and fix like the atomic breath and all that, not being like a mist, but just like an actual beam and all of that again. You know, like just like I don't know, if they were to literally remaster quote unquote 54, I'd be extremely interested. Like I'm not gonna be one of those people that's like, don't touch it. Like it's there if I need it. My original still exists, so relax.
But
It's like,
but yeah, I mean, that's what interested me in Akira Kurosawa in the first place. Was he's one of George Lucas's biggest inspirations and most favorite directors. So I was like, man, that'd be cool to go back and kind of see.
and isn't it interesting
those
how
influence.
Japanese directors can make an impact on Americans like that? That like
Oh, yeah.
American directors that are legends is like, oh, but I was inspired by a foreign director. That's insane. That means that back then George Lucas had access to Seven Samurai.
Yeah, he was a
or
film
other
nerd,
movies,
to put
you
it
know what I
shortly.
mean? Like, it's like, that's insane when I think about it. Because, now we have access to, like, everything. The internet is... When the internet
Yeah,
is
like,
used well,
that's-
it's used right.
That's one of the craziest things too. Is also like, and this
How
is
do
a
you
whole
find
other.
all this?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is a whole other conversation. But it was like musicians back then were inspired by other musicians, and it's like, how much of a nerd would you have had to be in the '70s to be inspired by like some random record? Like, I don't know. It's pretty cool to think about, like, in that way, like who inspired who. Like, that's what I love looking at is context, like context of film history and music history, of course. But yeah, I mean, that's where he got on my radar, was George Lucas. But yeah.
Well, do you have your recommendation, sir?
I will say that I was incredibly surprised by the subject that you were going to bring up, because I was like,
I told
'cause I was
Ryan, I'm like,
man,
I'm not gonna tell you what it is until I hit you with it.
because at first I was like, yeah, it's going to be some super deep philosophical thing he's going to slam me with, but I was like, no, this is a subject I've wanted to talk about with Trav and on video for a long time, so I'm very happy with it.
Well, I knew that.
But,
yeah.
Okay, obvious recommendation, and I told myself I wasn't gonna go for an obvious recommendation, but it's definitely what Trav was saying earlier, is check out older movies, like, please, because you are missing out to the max if you are being closed-minded about different genres. I kind of get. I'm sorry, like, different.
Yeah, and I
genres,
can understand a
get.
young teenager having the opinion of,
But, like,
these
if
new
you're just
movies is all
saying-
I watch, but it's because they haven't
Yeah.
grown up enough to explore, But,
If you're saying, yeah, I mean, that's the same with music. I mean, I prefer to listen to, like, okay, some '70s album before, like, oh, this new album that came out
Ryan's
this week.
way.
I don't
If
care.
if y'all want to know any big fact about Ryan, and it's like that he goes deep into exploring everything. So anything really rock and stuff, like, I mean, from like the '70s and even newer stuff, he's probably gonna know something. Like, if it's like a trivia, like, he's gonna succeed.
I mean,
or something
probably,
like that.
I don't know.
It's like,
'Cause,
because he goes out of his way, and it's all about going out of your way, but Ryan literally goes out of his way to explore all this on purpose. It's not an accident. Like, I can explore stuff on accident all the time.
Every day. Because I look at, I mean, I'm in all kinds of Facebook groups, like, I'm informed on all kinds of people in the music business, and then I'm like, what are they attached to? What are they inspired by? What are those people attached to? Like, but anyway, without going too far into a rabbit hole, yeah, I mean, that's always been my recommendation on this show, at least, is to explore older stuff. I really highly recommend it, because you don't know what you like.
Yeah, you'll never know,
Because
if
you may
don't
totally,
like it, if
you may
don't
be one of
like
those
it, then
people that are like, man, I guess Hidden Fortress ain't for me. Like, I get it. Like,
yeah, like, the
understand.
first assumption being that it's not for me is wrong, in my opinion. Like, it's like, you should always like, and that's, I'm gonna blend it into my recommendation, which is like, give things a shot that you don't necessarily think like off the first hand that I'm gonna like. You know what I mean? Like, so that also, and it's, you know, it kind of parallels with Ryan's recommendation, but that was the first one that came to my mind, which is like explore foreign films and foreign like art and foreign, you know, if you've never watched an anime in your life, like check out an episode of anything. Like I do go with pretty much what that one guy said is like, I mean, because I'm trying to think of all the animes I like, but they are pretty long. So I guess Death Note, just because it's short enough. That's what I was about to say.
Also,
like Death Note is a head first into weird anime where it's like, you never know, you might like it.
It's weird, but it's,
you know?
I mean, it's really good. Like, I didn't know if I would really like it at first, but I was like, man, this is pretty good.
It's literally the ultimate anime that comes to my mind that's like, I'm not like, I wouldn't be hyped to just be like, okay, because I know some people that have seen that a few times, but it's one of those shows that's like, it had me so hooked. Like, it's like, it really grabs you as like, what the heck is going to happen next? Like, that's... And if you, and all of you people that binge Netflix and binge this and that and like all these live action shows, nothing wrong with it. But like try something out like Death Note as just like something different. And like you never know, you might literally become an anime fan. Like, I mean, and you know, and I hope that, and I'm not trying to be cocky by like, okay, like I'm gonna make y'all into Japanese lovers, like, you know, or whatever. It's like that's not really the case. It's just.
See,
it's
with
a
me,
they're a really amazing culture.
Like with me, man, like here's me overcoming like how I used to be, because like, you know, my whole life, even up until like, I don't know when, but my whole life, even up until like high school-ish, like when I first watched anime was when we first got Hulu.
Yeah.
Because like mom and dad were like, no, anime, that's evil. You're not gonna watch that at all.
And
You're
some
not
of
gonna
them
have
are, and
anything
some
to
of them
do with
literally
it.
are
Like,
trying to be evil.
well, I'm not saying
like,
it's not.
but there's a lot out there that's just like not even close to too much, you know. Like I know where to draw the line of like too much, but
oh yeah, and another one I got reminded of just now is Darker Than Black. Like I'm trying to really dig deep and remember
favorites.
like what.
And that's a super
ones
underrated.
I've seen.
Like anybody that even is a huge anime fan, anytime I drop, have you seen Darker Than Black? They're like, oh, I've never heard of that, and then they want to check it out. And it's like that's one of the most unknown, underrated. If you, I mean, it's like, and if you're into Marvel movies and superhero type stuff, like Darker Than Black has that exact element of like okay, superpowers and stuff like that, but in an anime, like where it's like there's just people in a city, like in real life, like in real time. It's not like from back in the day or anything. It's like a modern, okay, there's just like, I don't know, I forgot what city, like I forgot what city that it's based off of.
Because that was like, it seems like high school.
But there's this kind of like sci-fi element to the whole show, and it's great. And really dark elements in there that is like, okay, like this, you know, it's cool. Like, and when the villains are there, like not the best villains, but it's got enough to be like, hey, like, you know, if you're even a superhero fan at all for movies and stuff, Darker Than Black's got what you want in anime. And that's One Punch Man all the way. That's actually One Punch Man is even more so that, where it's like that is actually about people that live in a city that have superpowers that may or may not involve themselves with each other. Like, some of them don't even know each other. It's just like, it's a really cool concept of just like a modern time where like, okay, basically the X-Men story again. Okay, we're mutants and like blah blah blah, but like it's really cool stuff. Well, guys, I think that about wraps up this episode of the Bearded Bro Show podcast. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Definitely go explore some stuff, or just not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll say that about it. If you don't, for sure. if you don't, then it's like, oh well. But I will tell you, and I can promise you, if you
don't like it, then who cares?
I can promise you. Yeah, exactly. I can promise you, from my perspective and my opinion and how I used to be and stuff like that, like Ryan said, is like, trust me, you're missing out. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But Yeah, I'd like to thank Ryan for Ryan. You got anything like I don't know, like social media or something?
Oh yeah, Worst Reviews is my channel, and I do a bunch of stuff over there.
That's always Ryan's thing to say is like I do stuff because it really is like kind of a random.
That last time I was on Trap Trials, I was like, yeah, I just do a bunch of junk. Like that's the best.
And then
that
obviously
was the best.
every single time we bust out laughing because of how you said it. Like I do junk, and then we just bust out. And it's like, and I'm in there editing it. Like I can't edit out, like because we laugh as soon as you say it. So there's like a slight second of like, haha, like or whatever. And it's like, but that's what makes the video good. It's just funny that it's like, okay, I'm trying to cut out at least a little bit of it, but it's the very, like your breath said, junk, and then start laughing. It's like, I can't cut that. It'd be too weird. Anyway, guys, we love you, and we'll be talking to you next time.
Bye.